Hey guys, you think you've got time? You think shelves will stay stocked? That your debit card will keep working? That the government will roll in with food trucks and warm blankets just because they always have? Let me tell you something. Collapse doesn't wait for you to finish your checklist. It doesn't knock politely. It breaks everything. It's not a movie. It's a slow bleed until it's not. One cyber attack, one blackout, one financial spiral, and suddenly, everything familiar turns hostile. The grocery aisles are stripped in hours, the gas pumps run dry in days, the hospitals lock their doors, and no one's coming to save you. When that moment hits, people don't panic over gold. They panic over water, insulin, toilet paper, firewood. The things you thought were boring, they'll be priceless, and by the time the masses realize it, it's already too late. The trucks stop, the power dies, the internet vanishes, and the weak start praying if anyone shows up with what they don't have, that someone had better be you. So no, this isn't about fear, this is about reality. The reality that when it all comes crashing down, only one thing matters: what's already in your hands. Because once collapse kicks in, no one's trading gold, they're trading survival. And this list? These 12 items? They aren't optional anymore. They're the new currency in a world where begging won't get you anything. Subscribe now, because the last thing you want is to be the one wishing you had when it's already too late. Number 1. Fire extinguishers. When the collapse comes, fire becomes your enemy. Not a small, manageable kitchen mishap, but a life ender. One careless spark, one knocked over candle, and your entire shelter, stockpile, and chance at survival goes up in smoke. And here's the brutal truth. There's no fire department coming. No sirens, no backup. Just you and the blaze. That's why fire extinguishers, yes, the boring red canisters gathering dust in office buildings, become high-level survival assets after a collapse. Because once water becomes scarce, and your surroundings are flammable as hell, fire is no longer a risk, it's a ticking bomb. Most preppers stock food, weapons, and water. But few think about how easily it all burns. One cooking accident, one knocked-over oil lamp, one solar flare triggering electrical failure. If you don't have a way to stop it fast, it's all gone. All of it, in minutes. And this isn't just about protecting your shelter. In a barter economy, showing up with a working fire extinguisher when someone else's cabin catches, that's not charity, that's leverage. You didn't just save their gear, you saved their life. Now they owe you. Here's how you prep smart. Stock at least 2 types, an ABC dry chemical for general fires and a CO2 or foam extinguisher for electrical and oil-based fires. Rotate them. Check gauges. Learn how to use them with your eyes closed. One under your bed, one near your stove, one in your vehicle. Fire is one of the few threats that takes everything fast. But it's also one of the easiest to control if you're prepared. And in the aftermath of collapse, while others watch their homes burn to the ground, you'll be the one with the tool that everyone wishes they had. Number 2, reading glasses, even cheap multi-packs. In a world without power, tools, or backup systems, clarity becomes survival literally. If you can't see clearly, you can't read labels, you can't spot threats, and you sure as hell can't repair a broken water filter or clean a wound properly. That's why reading glasses, those dollar store multi-packs most people overlook, suddenly become more valuable than a handful of gold rings. Imagine trying to light a stove, aim a weapon, or read a hand-drawn map and you can't focus because your vision is blurry. In collapse, eye care won't exist. No optometrists, no replacements, no orders from Amazon. What you've got is what you'll have maybe forever. And here's what most don't realize. After age 40, presbyopia sets in. That's natural age-related vision loss. It affects billions, even people who've never worn glasses. When it hits, you'll struggle to read small text, thread a needle, or inspect tools. Which means half the population will be functionally impaired, unless they've planned ahead. Prepping for eyesight is simple, cheap, and overlooked. Buy reading glasses in multiple strengths, 1.0 to 3.5, and stash them in every kit. Use hard cases to protect them. Get magnifying lenses and backup pairs. Include sunglasses too, because in a sun-scorched, grid-down world, UV damage is a real threat. But here's where it gets powerful. You won't just need them, others will beg for them. Think about barter. A man with bad vision will trade food, labor, even weapons just to see clearly again. One $2 pair of glasses could get you a full day of security or a week of supplies. So while everyone's obsessing over optics on rifles, you're stacking the kind of optics that actually change the game, the ones that help you see, plan, and survive. Number 3, Super glue and epoxy resin. In a post-collapse world, there are no hardware stores, no Amazon, no replacements. Something breaks? It stays broken unless you've got the right adhesive in your kit. Enter superglue and epoxy resin, the silent tools that patch, seal, bond, and hold your world together when everything else is falling apart. This isn't just about convenience, it's about survival. A cracked water bottle means lost hydration. A ripped boot means infection. A broken weapon or shattered tool means you're vulnerable. But with one tiny tube of industrial-strength adhesive, you regain control. You don't fix your restore function. Superglue isn't just for gear. It's been used in combat zones to seal wounds fast. Slice your hand on metal or glass, and you're bleeding out with no hospital in sight. A quick application of cyanoacrylate can close the cut and buy you days. Is it ideal? Is it life-saving? Absolutely. And then there's epoxy, the heavyweight of the adhesive world. It bonds wood, metal, plastic, even concrete. Need to fix a busted knife handle? A cracked cooking pot? A snapped chair leg? Epoxy turns trash into tools again. It's like having a mini repair shop in your pocket. The best part? It's compact, long-lasting, and dirt cheap now. You can stock 10 tubes for less than the price of a fast food meal. But when society collapses and people start throwing away their broken gear, you'll be the one turning junk into currency. Don't just stock one kind. Get fast-drying glue, gel-based for vertical surfaces, and dual-tube epoxy kits. Store in cool, dry places. Rotate as needed. Because when the world breaks down, the one who knows how to fix it becomes indispensable. And trust me, no one will be trading gold when they're begging for a drop of glue to keep their survival gear intact. Number 4. Rat traps and mouse traps. After the collapse, humans won't be the only ones fighting to survive. When trash piles up, sewers back up, and buildings get abandoned, the rats come out. And not just one or two, we're talking full-blown infestations. In every major collapse, from war zones to natural disasters, rodents explode in numbers. They smell your food, they chew your gear, and they bring disease. Fast. That's why rat traps and mouse traps become frontline defense tools in a world without pest control. Think about it: if one rat gets into your food stores, you could lose an entire week's supply. If it chews through your water container or your wiring, now you've got a fire hazard or a total failure. And if it bites you or your child, you're now facing infection, possibly even death, with zero access to antibiotics. Traditional snap traps are dirt cheap, easy to set, and effective. They don't require bait you can't find, just peanut butter, crumbs, or even jerky. But they're not just for killing rodents. In rural collapse zones, people use them to catch squirrels, birds, and other small animals. One rat trap can mean the difference between starvation and protein. Better yet, traps are reusable. They don't need power. They're silent. And when you've got a dozen of them in rotation around your shelter, you're not just defending your food, you're expanding your supply chain. Smart prepping means thinking beyond the obvious. Rodents are a guarantee, not a maybe. They'll be in your shelter, your stash, your trash unless you're ready. Stock both large and small traps. Learn how to set them properly. Keep them clean and reset daily. Because in the silence after collapse, the sound of a trap snapping shut isn't just relief, it's survival. And you'll be glad you thought like a predator before they moved in like pests. Number 5. Chem lights and glow sticks. When the grid goes down, darkness takes over, not just physically, but psychologically. Light becomes more than just visibility. It becomes comfort, control, and communication. And while most people rely on flashlights and batteries, the real survivors reach for something simpler, safer, and far more strategic: chem lights and glow sticks. These little tubes of liquid light may look like party favors now, but in a collapsed world, they're tactical gold. No batteries, no fire risk, no noise. Just instant, reliable illumination that works in any condition: rain, snow, underground, underwater. Crack, shake, and boom, you've got hours of glow. Let's be clear. When it's pitch black and your flashlight's dead, you don't want to be fumbling for gear in the dark. You want a glow stick taped to your shelter wall, one hanging from your neck. One marking your trail in the forest so you can find your way back silently. And it's not just for you. In a group, color-coded chem lights can signal distress, safe zones, or even silent commands. Red for danger, green for home base, blue for med station. In military operations, this is standard because visibility without giving away your position is a tactical necessity. They're also a game changer for barter. Imagine someone's kid is terrified at night and you hand over a soft glowing green stick that lasts 12 hours. That's not light, that's emotional control. You just bought leverage with a 50-cent item. Here's your move. Stock them in bulk. Get different durations, 8, 12 hours, and colors. Store them cool and dark for max shelf life, they last years. Tape them to gear, drop a few in every bug-out bag. Because when darkness takes over the world, the ones who hold the light even just a little will always hold the advantage. Number 6. Hand crank flashlights and radios. In a post-collapse world, you won't have Google, you won't have GPS, and you sure won't have a working flashlight if you're still relying on AA batteries. The moment the grid dies, most people are already blind, deaf, and disconnected. But the survivors? They've got a different kind of power hand crank flashlights and radios. These tools don't beg for batteries. They generate their own energy, anytime, anywhere. 1 minute of cranking gets you light, gets you news, gets you back in control. No outlets, no fuel, no panic. Start with the flashlight. It doesn't just help you see, it keeps you from falling, from fumbling, from walking straight into danger. In pitch-black urban ruins or remote woods, having light isn't optional, it's life or death. And unlike battery-powered torches that run out when you need them most, crank lights never quit. Some models even include solar backup, USB charging ports, and emergency sirens. Then there's the radio. In collapse, information becomes as critical as food. You need to know if there's a convoy nearby, if a storm is coming, if martial law just locked down your route out of town. Hand crank radios give you that edge. You're not waiting for rumors or risking your life on guesses, you're tuned in, even when everyone else is cut off. Here's the kicker. These tools are built to last. No fragile wires, no software updates. Just gears, cranks, and solid survival engineering. They sit quietly in your bag until the moment comes, then they shine. Smart prepping means redundancy. Store one in your home, one in your car, and one in every bug-out bag. Wrap them in cloth to protect the crank mechanism. Test them monthly. Because in the silence of collapse, the person who sees and hears, they don't just survive, they lead. And trust me, leadership will be the rarest resource of all. Number 7. Manual grain mill or coffee grinder. When collapse hits, food doesn't just disappear from shelves, it transforms. Suddenly, people aren't eating what they want, they're eating what they can process. And that's the key word, process. Because raw wheat, oats, rice, beans, all that bulk prepper food, it's useless if you can't grind it. That's why a manual grain mill or coffee grinder isn't just a smart tool, it's a force multiplier. You can have 100 pounds of grain, but without a way to turn it into flour or meal, it's just dead weight. You can't chew hard kernels. You can't bake bread from whole wheat. You can't survive off bricks of dried corn. But crank that handle, and suddenly you've got flour for bannock, cornmeal for frying, or ground beans for soups and stews. Now you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Electric grinders are dead weight when there's no power. But a solid hand crank model? That's post-collapse gold. Quiet, efficient, and designed to last generations. And let's be honest, most people won't think to buy one. That means you'll be the guy who can turn raw goods into edible trade items. You'll be baking bread when everyone else is still chewing jerky. And it's not just for food. Grind dried herbs for medicine, powder charcoal for water filters, crush dried eggshells for calcium. That little machine doesn't just feed you, it gives you options. Here's what to do. Buy a cast iron or stainless steel mill with adjustable settings. Avoid plastic models, they won't last a season. Keep it dry, oiled, and clean. Practice with it now. Know how long it takes to grind a cup of flour. That time investment could be your next trade deal. Because when collapse hits, those who can transform raw goods into something usable, they won't just survive the economy, they'll become the economy. Number 8, fishing line and hooks. When the food supply chain shatters, you're left with two choices. Rely on what you've stockpiled, or start harvesting the world around you. And while hunting sounds glamorous, it's noisy, dangerous, and quickly depletes local wildlife. But there's one method that's silent, sustainable, and massively underrated: fishing. And for that, all you need is fishing line and hooks. These items are small enough to fit in your pocket, cheap enough to buy by the hundred, but powerful enough to feed you indefinitely. A single hook, a couple feet of line, and a worm you dug up can put protein on your plate. And in a world without refrigeration, fresh fish means you've got a short-term, clean source of calories daily. You don't need a full tackle box. Just a simple kit, 20-30 hooks in different sizes, 100 feet of high-tensile fishing line, a few swivels and sinkers. Add a basic hand reel or fashion one from a can, and you're ready to drop lines in rivers, creeks, ponds, even flooded ditches. It's quiet, it's efficient, and it doesn't draw attention like a gunshot. Even if you never fish for yourself, it's a trade weapon. Someone with access to water but no gear will trade almost anything for a handful of hooks and a roll of line. You've got leverage without firing a shot. And don't forget creative uses. Fishing line becomes emergency thread, dental floss, tripwire, even makeshift sutures. It's tough, invisible, and multifunctional. Hooks can double as barbs for traps or tools. In a barter economy, small tools with multiple functions always outrank bulky gear. Here's your move. Build micro kits. Pill bottles stuffed with line, hooks, and a razor blade. Hide them in bags, belts, and bug-out kits. Store extras in sealed bags with desiccants. Because when collapse hits and canned food vanishes, the quiet guy by the stream pulling in dinner becomes the one with the real power. Number 9. Industrial trash cans and lids. When you think survival, you probably picture rifles, rations, and radios, not industrial trash cans. But when the collapse hits and the systems we depend on vanish, the unsung heroes won't be weapons, they'll be containers. Specifically, large, durable, lidded trash cans. The kind you see behind restaurants. The kind no one's thinking about until it's too late. In a grid-down scenario, everything becomes about storage, protection, and separation. Water needs to be caught and stored. Food needs to be kept away from pests. Human waste needs to be isolated. And that's where these trash cans come in. Let's break it down. First, water harvesting. Place one under a gutter with a basic screen or mesh, and you've got a rain catchment system that could save your life. Each downpour becomes a lifeline. No filters? No problem, at least you have something to start with. Second, food protection. Rodents and insects will be everywhere. Your expensive rations mean nothing if they're chewed through. A tightly sealed trash can keep out the pests and keeps in the calories, and in urban areas, it's your best defense against desperate people too. Third, and most ignored, sanitation. When plumbing stops, what are you going to do with your waste? A lined trash can with a seat lid becomes a field toilet. It controls disease, smell, and contamination. It's not pretty, it's survival. These cans also double as barrels, fermenters, compost bins, mobile caches, or even emergency flotation devices. In barter, you'd be amazed what someone will trade for a container that keeps their last 20 pounds of rice safe from rats and rain. What to look for? Heavy-duty plastic or galvanized steel with tight sealing lids. No holes, no cracks. The bigger, the better, but don't overlook the value of smaller bins for sorting and mobile use. Because in a collapsed world, those who control storage control the flow of everything else. Number 10. Cast iron cookware. In a world where the grid is down, fuel is scarce, and modern appliances are just useless metal boxes, one thing becomes clear. Your survival may come down to your cookware. And not just any cookware, we're talking about cast iron. Cast iron is heavy, indestructible, and completely off-grid compatible. You can throw it directly into fire, bury it in coals, balance it over a rocket stove, or leave it in the ashes. It won't warp, it won't crack, it won't quit. Try that with your non-stick skillet from the department store. Here's what makes cast iron elite in collapse conditions. Heat retention once hot, it stays hot, reducing fuel usage. Multi-fuel adaptability works with firewood, charcoal, alcohol stoves, propane, anything. Longevity treated right, it lasts for generations. Non-toxic surface, no coating to flake or poison you. Nutritional bonus actually adds trace iron to your food. You can cook literally anything: stews, bread, meat, rice, pancakes, even purify water. And if food is limited, cast iron helps you extract every calorie from scraps, bones, and leftovers. Nothing gets wasted. That's survival efficiency. In a barter economy, owning cast iron gives you the ability to produce cooked food when others can't. Picture this. Others are chewing on cold canned beans, while you're trading hot cornbread or boiled soup for antibiotics, fuel, or ammo. That's not just prepping, that's dominance. Start with a 10-12-inch skillet and a Dutch oven with a lid. Pre-season it, oil it, and learn how to clean it without soap. Store it dry and rotate it in your everyday use to stay familiar. Bonus. In close quarters, it's also a legitimate blunt force weapon. Most people won't think of cookware as critical infrastructure. They'll pack rifles and forget about dinner. You'll be the one feeding people, warming bellies, and turning basic supplies into comfort. And after collapse, comfort is currency. Number 11. Notebooks, pens, and Sharpies. When society collapses, silence spreads. No more text messages, no email, no GPS, no instant access to data or decisions. In that vacuum, those who can document, plan, and communicate on paper gain the upper hand. That's why notebooks, pens, and Sharpies are far more than office supplies, they're tactical survival tools. Think this is overkill? Think again. In a grid-down scenario, digital memory is gone, your phone is dead, your laptop is a paperweight. And your survival now depends on what you can record, track, and communicate the old-fashioned way. That means having paper and ink that don't fail. Notebooks allow you to keep critical information in one place: food inventory, ammo counts, water collection logs, injury records, planting schedules, bartering lists, and tactical plans. In a long-term crisis, your ability to track resources can mean the difference between a stable base or sudden starvation. Pens, especially waterproof or pressurized ones, are tools of control. You can mark maps, write weather logs, leave coded messages for allies, or document trade agreements. And Sharpies? They're field-grade markers. You can label gear, create warning signs, mark hazards, or even write messages on metal, wood, or skin if needed. Imagine trying to manage a team, a shelter, or a trade outpost, and you can't write down a single thing. Chaos, miscommunication, loss. Now imagine you've got a logbook, a checklist, a system. That's not just survival, that's the command. Pro tip: stock multiple sizes of notebooks, pocket and full size. Waterproof notebooks like Write in the Rain are worth every penny. Store pens with backups. Wrap Sharpies to keep them from drying. Keep a dedicated barter ledger. People will remember fair trade. You'll have written proof. Most people will forget paper exists. You won't. You'll control the flow of information when information becomes power. Because after collapse, the written word isn't just history, it's your weapon. Number 12. Plastic sheeting, painter's plastic, heavy-duty rolls. When collapse hits, the elements become your enemy: rain, wind, dust, smoke, radiation, even human contact. And if you don't have a way to shield yourself from them, you're exposed. That's where plastic sheeting comes in cheap now, life-saving later. Plastic sheeting is one of the most versatile, underrated survival tools you can own. It turns into a shelter. It turns into protection. It turns into isolation. Whether you're sealing broken windows, waterproofing a roof, creating a makeshift quarantine room, or building a solar still for drinking water, it adapts instantly. In disaster zones, FEMA and Red Cross field teams rely on plastic sheeting to set up emergency medical stations, decontamination areas, and sleeping quarters. There's a reason. It's lightweight, foldable, and deploys in seconds. But in a post-collapse world, it becomes even more powerful. Need to black out your windows to avoid detection at night? Plastic and duct tape. Need to seal off an entry point from cold, smoke, or gas? Plastic. Need to wrap a corpse, line a toilet, collect rainwater, or block airborne particles? You guessed it, plastic. You won't find this at the top of flashy prepper lists, but real survivors know. When the structure of society collapses, controlling your environment becomes priority number one. Stock a mix. Thin painter's rolls for quick coverage, thick 610mm sheeting for serious protection. Cut them into panels. Store flat, sealed, and dry. Keep a roll in your vehicle, your bug-out bag, and your home cache. Because when the air turns hostile, the windows shatter, and the world starts leaking into your last safe place, this humble roll of plastic could be the only thing left keeping danger out and life in. When collapse finally hits, not if, but when the people who make it through won't be the richest, strongest, or loudest. They'll be the ones who prepared quietly, who stocked the forgotten tools, who thought beyond bullets and gold. Because in a broken world, it's not about stacking cash, it's about stacking capability. And every item on this list? It's not a luxury, it's leverage, it's survival. Don't wait for the headlines to scream too late. Start now, build your list, check your stash, fill the gaps. Because the clock isn't just ticking, it's cracking. If this video gave you real value, smash that like button, not for vanity, but to push this out to others who need it before it's too late. Comment below with the one item you think most people will regret. Not having your insight might save someone else. And most importantly, subscribe now. Because this channel isn't hype. It's the heads up you won't get when the system starts to fail. Stay sharp, stay unseen, stay ready.